Welcome to the Authentic Leaders Rising podcast, where high-achieving entrepreneurs and leaders come to receive deep, insightful conversations and practical guidance to move from hustle to flow without sacrificing their authentic self and the results. I am your host and Chief Energy Officer, Tammy Cho, a former patient care leader turned international best-selling author, speaker, and face and body analysis expert. Get ready to lead your authenticity, lead your energy, and lead your impact. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Authentic Leaders Rising. Today, I feel really called to speak about everything going around in the environment, around politics, differences of opinions, things being thrown around, people having the difference of opinions and the resulting conversations through social media threads, whatever that is for you, it's really active right now and I'm really feeling it. And today I really want to bring alternative way of perspective, if you will, of looking at all of this and to bring in the lens of energetics and how this all interplays and to provide an alternative way to go about it. This is something that has really served me on my journey to really tap into what's really happening out there as a direct reflection of what's happening within myself and has really supported me. There is a lot out there going on and it's stimulating all these different emotions in all of us, stimulating a lot of uncertainty, fear, whatever that is. So let's dive in. So I want to share this in a format of a conversation that occurred for myself with someone else. I was speaking with someone else in leadership and we're having a walk. And on this walk, various topics have come up around how building was created and the unfairness that happened through how that building and how the creation of the building and how the people was treated poorly. And this person I was walking with was entrenched in the community, so knew a lot of the history. And we talked about various topics. And there was one topic that came up around politics. And obviously, many people say not to bring that up. The relationship had the space to speak about this. And as this was being brought up, and I go about these situations often with a neutrality. I don't like to give energy to these topics. A simple phrase of acknowledgement and that, it's so unfortunate that these things happen. And what was brought up to myself was like, why is it that you don't care? What do you care about? Which was interesting and it really made me think about this and to see how my response of neutrality could potentially have someone question if I actually care, like why don't I care and things like that. And of course, I know myself and I care deeply about the world. I just choose to use discernment. And so I want to share about this because I think a lot of things that are happening out there, oftentimes what people are not aware to is that what is stimulated out there within us, all the feelings. I mean, there was a pattern of injustice in a lot of the things that he was sharing, for example. And that really tells me there's a place within him that there is definitely some underlying wounding, emotional experiences that have the experience of unfairness. And I'm bringing in the lens here of the energetics in the sense that because the world is a direct reflection of our internal experiences. I think some of us hear this, but we're not necessarily applying it in this way. So I'm going to weave this in right now in the sense that if something is stimulated outside of ourselves, if something outside of ourselves stimulates something within ourselves, that's when we know that there's something deeper within ourselves. And with all the changes that are happening out there, it's not that we can't express our point of views, right? It's not that we can't share our opinions and all those kind of things, but it really comes down to where does our intentions lie? And so what I mean is, what is the difference we're hoping to make by speaking about the issue? Sometimes it's because we want to just share our opinions, but oftentimes underneath, there is a discomfort with what's going on, and it supports us to speak about it, to dissipate the energy. On an energetic level, it actually speaks, I like to call it sort of like energy pollution, because the reason why we say things, the intention behind what we say, often that's what's poured out in our communication, in our nonverbal language, in our energy essence out into the world. And so it's really important to actually ask ourselves, what's the intention of why I'm even sharing this? And what exactly is the outcome that we're trying to achieve by sharing those things? Sometimes it's like we're wanting to be right. Sometimes we're wanting to be heard. And in and of itself, there's nothing wrong with all those things. But I want to invite us to bring a bit more consciousness into this, if we will. Honestly, this is not something that just pertains to politics, right? When there's racism events and there's people coming in to speak about anti-racism, that energy of fighting against this other energy, that keeps us actually locked in a certain dynamic. This occurred a lot with COVID, whether you should vaccinate or not vaccinate. There was a lot of going back against one another. And you can see that if we approach things that are happening out in our reality, in our world, where we're doing this energy exchange that's actually vibrating at the similar level, whether that's wanting to be right, whether that's just dissipating uncomfortable energy, it feels painful, fear is coming up, all the uncertainty, wanting to be validated so we feel better. There's all these unconscious intentions that we are navigating through. But the outcome, the change in the energy, is created by the energy that we start the conversation with, that we start our perspective in. You know what I mean? And we already know, based on energetics, what we focus on, what we put our intention on, what we put our intention and attention on, right? Our focus on, where we put our energy, right? Expands. And so it's so crucial to really bring another level of awareness, of consciousness, to look at this, to address this within ourselves. And honestly, for some of us, we are really feeling called to make a difference, like with conviction. There are some of us that are called to shake things up, to speak up. It's really aligned with our purpose and our calling. And so that's a question to ask ourselves, because there are people with a purpose of shaking this up, addressing it in their form, shape, way, and it's filtered through the strengths that they were given. To ask ourselves, is there a place of ourselves that I am resourced? I have exact strengths and gifts to address this issue. And so there is that intention of feeling called from a heart and soul level to make a difference and shift dynamics in some shape or form. But for the majority of us, there is a place where it feels beyond our control. It feels like, oh, this is just all happening again. And I can't believe this is happening and that's happening. And taking a breath into all of that, really standing back to look at the bigger picture. Is this something I can control? Right? Is this something that I could do something about? Do I feel called to do something about this with conviction? And do I have the gifts and resources to address this? And if that's not a yes for you, I invite you to explore another perspective on how to go about and address this, to dissipate energy for yourself, to support yourself in your emotionality. Because the emotion, the state of being, the energy that we bring to something, it's just going to filter through our words and it spreads out there. And then it creates a host of back and forth that happens out there. Yeah, I just really want to speak to this because I really believe in looking at the truth of what's actually happening in here. Very much being asked if I really care. And what I had explained was that we could either spend our attention on something we can't change. Now, obviously, we will vote. We have the gift of voting to express our opinions in that way. However, like if that's one action we could take, and there's everything else that we don't have any other control, because we're not interplaying with all those other pieces and all the bigger intentions that are out there beyond our control. One of the only things we could do It's really to choose to go within ourselves. Because what I alluded to at the beginning and throughout the episode is that everything is a direct reflection of what's happening within ourselves. If we're feeling injustice or a helplessness or fear, it means that it's already in our nervous system. It's already locked within ourselves. This is why someone is more triggered or passionate about a certain subject, whereas someone may not be. This is why someone might be thrown off by one event with a certain perspective, and someone else is thrown off with that perspective at another layer, at another angle of that. It all pertains to our own nervous system, what's been locked within our body, the energetics that we hold within ourselves in our internal environment. And there are studies done where there are really high crime rates in a certain city. And they literally brought in people that meditated and without focusing on what was actually even happening. Specifically, they're not like meditating that the crime is going down. They're just meditating peace, meditating really aligned peace and love in that city. And the crime rates dropped. And so this is the power of energy leadership, our authentic energy leadership, to actually be true to ourselves, to use whatever is happening out there and whatever is being stimulated in here as a way to grow and heal. And through that energy of processing through this helplessness or lack of control or fear, whatever is being stimulated within us, to actually process and heal through that so that you are raising your vibration because of it. This is something that I used tremendously over when COVID was here, when I had a lot of fear and uncertainty within myself and change and uncertainty, all these kind of things, and really went into the deeper healing within myself. And as a face and body analysis expert, my skin significantly improved because the quality of our skin has a lot to do with our level of self-awareness. And so the healing was shifting me. It was shifting my consciousness. And this is why I have a lot of neutrality around a lot of the issues out there, because I choose to move from a victim standpoint of like, it's happening to me, to something of a responsible viewpoint of that. What do I choose to do to navigate this within myself? How can I heal? What is being stimulated within me that needs to be healed and released so I can feel better, but also how I can raise humanity in ways that many of us will never see. And this is a deep trust within ourselves. The more that we are able to address these things that are happening all around us with this level of responsibility, having the intention to really heal and be there for ourselves, because those moments of trigger essentially are past, often younger aspects of ourselves that never got to be held, never got to be loved, to be given the time and space. And often those are the pieces that trigger within us. And looking at the other standpoint with people in power that seem to have all this power over everything, guess what? There's a part of themselves that is never got that power. They also experience this helplessness at some level of their evolution in their life. And it's magnified that they need to use power, money, whatever, all those kind of things to achieve that. And so this is what I mean. It's like if we are attacking at the same energy, at the same consciousness of the pain, the fear that it was created from, we're actually recreating the same thing. And so if you feel called to addressing how these world events stimulate things in you, if you want another perspective of stepping out of feeling like you have no control and to see things differently, to do things differently, to be things differently, and to address these emotional set points, locks in your nervous system. I invite you to place your attention and energy there next time you feel triggered, when you feel stimulated. And this is why I'm so passionate about the work that I do, is that often all our problems can be healed when we are able to process through big T and small t traumas, and to elevate our consciousness into energy leadership, and to live life in this way where there feels like freedom and peace, and that I'm actually contributing to a shift in consciousness in the world. And for some of us that may be hearing this for the first time, it may feel very surreal. And don't take my word for it. I invite you to play with it, to be curious and open-minded in it, to allow yourself to be with uncomfortable emotions. Even if you be with those emotions and feeling the discomfort in that, I hope that it opens up a level of compassion for everyone out there that runs away from these deeper emotions. This is like our connection and humanity. We move towards pleasure and away from pain. But authentic energy leadership is being so true to ourselves to look at these places that are difficult. This is why it's leadership, it's self-leadership. This is the energy piece, how we choose to live out in the world and to feel ourselves and to be true to ourselves and to be able to hold that level of love and care and compassion for ourselves so that we can be neutral and to lead our energy to shift, working with our clients, patients, with our community, with our teams. This is how we shift the world and humanity. I really hope this episode has given you a different alternative experience and solution to addressing all these things that are happening out there that can be very overwhelming. I hope that it's given you a new light, a new inspiration, a new awakening to really see that empowered caring, learning how to care about ourselves in an empowered way also creates your energy essence to lead your families, to lead the world, to lead your community. I love to hear your perspective, your input, what has come up for you from listening to this episode. If you've listened to my last episode on really shifting my podcast with me returning back into the nursing space part-time and to be able to express in my podcast, giving myself the space to express in my podcast what is true and real, what I feel called to share without filtering it through any specific lens than through my heart. And so this is the second episode from that awakening within myself through working through a lot of deeper emotions in myself. And I just love you. I hope that this has inspired you in ways that maybe you haven't experienced. And perhaps it's awakened a part of you that you've heard this before and you haven't maybe connected to it recently. Lots of love to you. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. And take care and be well. Thank you so much for listening to the Authentic Leaders Rising podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. And leave us a review so others can find the life-changing content that we're sharing here. We are starting our movement on our way to number 1, and we need your help to get there. If you'd like to connect with other high-achieving entrepreneurs and leaders who are also on their authentic, energetic leadership journey, join our free Facebook community, Energetically Aligned Leaders. Go to pathtotheheart.com/links to join the Facebook group, book your personalized face analysis experience, or to access our resources.